I am ready.
Okay, he's ready.
All right, here we go.
So first questions that I have tonight. Can we have some more precisions about Covenant abilities and soulbinds, like where and
right
when
off the start
we'll be able to use them or not? Can you precise that?
Yeah.
Or not yet.
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
I think these are a core part of your character.
Okay.
Once you join a covenant, you'll have access to those abilities. Once you hit max level and you form a soulbind, you'll draw upon those powers everywhere you go. So raids, dungeons, PvP. And I think we view World of Warcraft as a holistic game.
Okay.
And
it's a good decision.
Character is something we want to be able to express in all situations.
Okay, pretty interesting. So you're gonna balance that to not have like many problems maybe regarding PvP or PvE or whatever.
Good question.
I mean, we as always, we have the ability to have custom PvP balance for certain effects.
Yeah,
things
they're
PvE
already planning for that.
Specifically scale down or up in PvP if they're too strong or too weak there.
Yeah, that's good.
Really the last resort for us is to completely disable something, because your character feels like it's a combination of these abilities and skills, and if one of them suddenly stops working because you start fighting another player, that feels, that can feel pretty bad.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah,
100%. Fair enough. Okay, good to know. Second question. Could covenants become maybe new PvP factions? By that I mean, do you think we could see something like you choose a covenant and it becomes like a faction, like PvP wise?
Gang wars.
I don't think it's likely that we're going to replace Horde and Alliance with these Shadowlands specific factions.
That'd be interesting.
So I think part of it is the covenants aren't directly enemies with each other. They have different philosophies. They each serve different functions within the Shadowlands as a whole.
Okay.
I know occasionally
they're like
they come into
co-workers.
conflict. And of course, we have the potential to do some fun little mini games or activities if it makes sense, but I wouldn't read too much into that. Like we might have some PvP world quests like we did back in Legion.
Gladiatorial arena.
PvP. Maybe in one of those areas it's
Best
Covenant versus Covenant. Or maybe we might have a battleground or a brawl later on in the expansion that highlights Covenant versus Covenant play. But I would view that more as just fun activities and not a storytelling change.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
good to know.
Makes sense.
Okay, another question, a little bit more tricky, maybe this one. So you are probably aware of the problems regarding some items in and PvP in BFA. Like by that I mean like traits, essences, mostly trinkets, of course, and corruptions. What system can we expect addressing those specific problems in Shadowlands?
Wow.
Yeah, so I think certainly part of the story of BFA has been introducing new systems, and the community has rightly criticized this as systems layered on top of systems. And
we have said that
it's not an ideal situation. Things like essences, things like corruption, were added to provide outlets for progression and character customization to address problems with the underlying systems in BFA, like Azerite armor and the Heart of Azeroth.
Makes sense.
The compounding effect of all these things can lead to some pretty broken situations. It's also just a lot of complexity. It's too many different currencies, too many different things that are modifying your character. So we definitely look to take a large step back from that in Shadowlands. We've also learned something, I think, pretty important from tuning mistakes made with regard to systems like some corruptions or some essences, where passive damage, if I'm just doing my rotation and pushing my abilities, and something procs and puts a dot on the target or does damage that's not really reflecting my skill or my decisions, those probably shouldn't be the most powerful options in the hand of a skilled player, as compared to things that are increasing your stats or that are magnifying your own rotational choices. And so when we see something like Gushing Wound or Twilight Devastation being the #1 source of damage for players, that's not a great place for things to end up. Whereas when severe or masterful corruptions in the hands of a skilled player are the best choices, at least there it's driven more by player action and skill and feels like it's emphasizing your choices rather than reducing their value.
Look at this.
Okay, good.
This is great.
I like that. Okay, another
that's
question.
fucking awesome.
Will there be new cosmetic challenges in Shadowlands? For example, I have in mind like the Mage Tower in Legion.
Yes,
so are you going to implement something like this
yes,
within Shadowlands?
Dude.
So down the line, later on in Shadowlands, there's room for all sorts of additions. The Mage Tower, as you may recall, was something that came halfway through Legion.
Yeah,
but we do have a number of unique cosmetic rewards that are tied to specific activities, whether that is going deep into Torghast, into the twisting corridors, endless mode of Torghast, or Covenant-specific features like the Path of Ascension within Bastion, which is
you
a
get
little
cosmetics
bit like the
from
Mage
that.
Tower in terms of being, a series of solo trials that you can overcome through your own skill and mastery. And there are cosmetic rewards unique to that Covenant that await for players who can complete the whole thing.
Got it. That's awesome.
Okay, fair enough. And this is a little bit linked to the previous questions. Question. Have you ever considered bringing specific rewards for a player competing at higher ratings? For example, in PvP or doing higher mythic pluses? Because nowadays, being like a 3K rating player in PvP or doing a plus 29 doesn't really change anything except maybe having a bigger ego.
Good question.
Well, I mean, a bigger ego is a little bit of a reward in itself.
It is. It is.
I mean, frankly, I say that as a joke, but the people who are doing plus 29s, a lot of players around the WoW community know their names, and there's a Reddit thread discussing the fact that they just did the first 29 freehold or whatever in time, and they're the same people who are having a chance to compete in things like the Mythic Dungeon international competition, or on the PvP side,
they got a Reddit thread, man,
who are competing in tournaments. We're hesitant to push a formal in-game reward structure too high. I think we have, in rating, for example, the top 100 guilds in each faction can get on the Hall of
title.
Fame. Yeah. In Mythic Plus, if you're doing all 15s in time, you are getting unique recognition and rewards for that.
20s in time,
and that's a bar that we draw at the top 1% or fraction of 1% of players, because we're confident that that is a balanced system, that all classes can achieve 15s. Really, all classes can do 20s in time in Mythic Plus.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, exactly,
can get to 2400 rating and earn Gladiator.
Yeah.
At the very, very, very highest end of the system, as we see in things like the MDI or the very highest key pushing,
3 rogues.
We admit that the game isn't perfectly balanced. There are some specs, there are some classes that will be able to
They're a little bit better, aren't they?
Completely extreme achievements when pushed to their very limit. And when we formalize rewards around that, it can put extra pressure and expectations around everyone feeling like they can access those things.
Okay,
I think people who are climbing to the top of the leaderboards are often doing it out of that challenge, out of that sense of competition with their peers who are also trying to break records. And that's, I think, a fun scene that the community has driven that works in and of itself.
That makes sense.
We risk actually messing it up if we start putting in-game rewards associated with it.
Okay, I see what you mean. I don't totally agree, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
I'm kind of the same boat.
Question. Okay, it's maybe an easy one. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you call PvP power?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, the PvP power item.
Let's go.
So that was an internal experiment that got data mined. We have no plans to return to a PvP-specific stat.
Okay.
I think. We were trying different ways of having items scale in PvP or having spells scale in PvP.
That's a lot to talk about.
At the end of the day, we want our systems to have a certain amount of clarity to players where they understand what items are best or what skills or spells are going to perform best in PvP. But there's a lot of extra complexity and gear management that comes with the old system we moved away from, where you need an entirely separate set of gear just for PvP. And even though we considered it for a while as we were reintroducing PvP vendors and looking back at some past systems, we've decided that PvP only stats are not the right thing for the game right now.
Okay, good. Other questions?
Either a good decision or a bad one.
Out of the game itself.
We'll talk about that.
As we don't have any BlizzCon this year, will there be something special for the Shadowlands release, like online or something? Maybe an event or something?
Oh, yeah, that'd be nice.
That's a good question. Honestly, it's a bit premature to say. I think we are all right now learning as we go and figuring this out.
Okay.
I think originally, the stream yesterday and a lot of these interviews that you see happening, we'd originally planned months ago to have an in-person summit where we could invite people out and talk to them out in Southern California and show these things in person.
They did plan on that.
Of course, that's not possible right now, so we're trying to do as much of it as we can virtually. Who knows what the situation will be like this fall, and I think we definitely want to find a way to connect with our community and celebrate as much as possible. So we'll definitely be talking about things internally, but I don't know anything for sure right now.
Okay, good.
Makes sense.
Another question I have here. Yeah, like me, there are probably a lot of people who do more than just one content to the game. Like, for example, PvE, PvP, whatever.
Yeah.
And want to be, like I would say, meta doing it, if you see what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So could you give us a hint of how hard it is going to be to change Covenant's abilities? Like more than just like it's not going to be long or it's not going to be that hard?
Give us a real answer, Ian.
Well, okay, so Covenants are set up to be a different sort of choice than your spec or your talents.
Yeah.
I think WoW is really it's a set of choices. I think the great Sid Meier, who made Civilization and other great games, has described games as a set of interesting choices, a set of interesting decisions.
Okay.
And WoW and your gameplay in WoW is a series of those. Everything from the tiny ones, like what button are you going to press next? Which ability are you going to use next in this encounter?
Yeah.
A step up from that, what gear are you going to equip before you go into the boss fight or start the dungeon? What spec are you? What talent in the row are you picking? And all the way up at the other end of the spectrum to things that are permanent, like what class are you? What faction are you? And covenants are something that we see more towards that latter end of the spectrum as part of your identity. Now, within the covenant, there's a ton of customization within the soulbind system and conduits. You'll have 3 separate soulbinds and the ability to say, okay, this soulbind has traits that are really good for AoE damage, that seem to be focused on AoE damage. I'm going to put conduits that are also great for dungeon gameplay in this path. When I want to go run a dungeon, I'm going to switch to this soulbind, these conduits active, and feel like I'm optimal within that space for the dungeon.
Okay.
Or this other soulbind, I'm going to use Nadia, who we showed yesterday in the stream, who has some single target oriented traits.
Yeah,
and
that's
I'm
the
going
one
to
we're
put some
using.
single target conduits there, and when I'm doing a patchwork type raid boss that's heavy single target, I'll pick that one, and like my talents,
I don't know,
optimize
man.
myself for that situation.
I don't know.
But when it comes to the Covenant as a whole, that is a package of many, many options that's closer to a subclass than to simply a talent row or a talent choice, and that's how we're viewing it. So when it comes to switching Covenants, we want to make sure that if you regret your choice, if you want to experience something different, that's not hard to do. It's not hard to change. You can just
it's going back.
That
that's
you first
hard.
Joined,
that's what he
the
said.
Other one, they will welcome you with open arms. We have a lot of catch-up mechanisms to quickly get you caught up so that you can be fully functional there.
Yeah.
But if you want to return to a covenant that you've abandoned, you will need to do a quest to prove yourself, to kind of make up for breaking your oath to them. And in practice, that's going to mean that covenants aren't something that you can switch back and forth freely between one boss to the next or doing Mythic Plus versus PvP. But our job and our goal is to make it a package of options that include utility, different powers, strengths, and weaknesses, so that there truly isn't one clear answer for a broad type of content. I think the best example I can give, and I actually read a good thread on Reddit discussing this a couple days ago, if someone asks you right now, which is better, mage or hunter? What should I play? Honestly, both are really good. You can ask people who are top Mythic Plus players, top raiders. It's really going to come down to which is more fun. Maybe which one does your raid group need, or which one does your friends need more.
Does it really,
which
though?
do you prefer? And go. And that's what we want covenants to feel like.
Okay. Okay, I would say nice dodging skills, Ian, but that's fine. That's fair enough. Fair enough.
Calling him out on it, dude.
Easy question.
He knows.
Will there be new arenas or battlegrounds in Shadowlands?
We definitely have a new arena coming that's set in Bastion that uses the architecture there. It's this bright, glowing, resplendent, floating platform in the skies of Bastion. Really excited to let people jump in and fight in that environment. We don't have a battleground planned for Shadowlands at launch, but new battlegrounds is something we're always looking to explore and add where they make sense.
Okay, good.
Good.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Another question here. It is probably the most difficult word I have to say tonight. So, be cool with it. Are tertiary stats? Tertiary? Is that the word? Tertiary stats?
It is, yes.
Yep. It is? Great.
Okay.
So are tertiary stats going to be less impactful in Shadowlands? Like avoidance, leech, speed, or whatever?
Do you think they should be less impactful?
I don't know, honestly. That's a question from the community. So
yes,
I guess
if you can't target them or put them on your gear, yeah.
I mean,
you should be able to get them yourself.
Probably not. Probably about how they have been. I think that we talk about item RNG, and we talked about socketing, Titan forging. Those are things we've gotten rid of because they often felt like you needed those things for the item to be viable, to be worth using over your other items.
Yeah, of course.
Whereas stuff like avoidance and speed tends to feel more like a genuine perk. Like, you're not going to wear a lower eye level item just because it has a little bit of speed on it at the expense of a lot of stats.
For a tank?
So it's a little bit of RNG, but I think we think it adds a little bit of flavor and texture without removing choice or adding too much frustration. If people feel otherwise, I'm definitely curious to hear those perspectives.
No, I can agree with you on this one, honestly. Okay, that's how do you call that? A tricky question? Not maybe tricky, but, you know, a little bit picky question right now. So a problem that we have been having for a long time now, obviously you know it, this is lag during outdoor PvP battles. So one mode is cool, one mode is pretty fun, but, you know, playing a PowerPoint sometimes is nuts. So will you be addressing this problem in Shadowlands? Maybe like some new servers, I don't know, like that can do some great PvP battles.
Here we go.
So this is something that we've been dealing with throughout the history of World of Warcraft.
Okay, come on,
Wintergrasp first came out, and Wrath the Lich King would like drag down entire servers, and you knew when Wintergrasp was happening because your spells would take 4 seconds to cast.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing struggle. We've actually put a lot of focus on this internally in the past year and a half.
Man.
I hear I see the memes in the community all the time of like, cheap Warcraft devs don't want to spend money on servers.
Multi-dollar company.
Literally, if there are better servers out there than the ones we have, I'm not aware of them. Our server team isn't aware of them. We're using the best enterprise technology that's available to host our game. In fact, the servers are many, many times more powerful than what we ran the game on years ago. The biggest challenge is the game is more complicated, and there are inherent mathematical computational problems. I think Preach actually had a good video kind of hypothesizing
Preach was right.
What the cause of some of these problems was, and he wasn't too far off the mark.
Yep.
We found, going back to WoW Classic,
so now we know
we can support way more players in combat using the same servers, a lot of the same underlying technology, because the pace of combat was much slower and there were fewer different effects going on.
Still happens in Classic too.
You might cast a fireball, and it's like a 3-second cast, and you cast a fireball. Today, people have much more haste, different effects going off, 7 different procs that are being triggered every time you push a button. And the key thing is that all that information has to be computed on the server and fanned out to all the other players who are present. In computing, there's the concept of computational complexity and how that scales, and there's what's called an n squared or n cubed problem, where if you have one player fighting another player, the server just has to tell the other player what's going on. If there's 10 players fighting 10 other players, then every time one player pushes a button or their procs go off or their pet does something, the server has to tell everyone else around all of that information to update their clients. And so now you have 10 people telling 10 other people information. That's 100 times more messages from 10 times more people. And so at some point when you have 40v40, 50v50, the server struggled to keep up.
40v40?
That's my way of explanation, not excuse. It feels terrible. Like, there's no question. It's miserable. And we have been working on as many optimizations as we can come up with to improve the player experience and to let those epic battles happen. That's one of the coolest things in an MMO, right?
Yes.
Like, I remember seeing, I haven't seen one in a while.
He just said
there were groups that organized these massive pre-made Alterac valleys of like 40 paladins versus 40 Death Knights. And you see them all marching in, and like, wouldn't it be amazing if that could just play out at full speed and you could see those battles instead of the server lagging? So we want it as much as you. It's something we're actively working on. There's just some mathematical laws that we're running into that make it hard, but we want to keep improving.
Remove hidden scaling, Ian.
Thank you.
That'll fix it.
You told us yesterday that we could expect the game to be released this fall. The question is, what about the pre-patch, though?
So yeah, I think the pre-patch, as usual, will probably come a few weeks before Shadowlands officially launches. We'll have all the systems available, so the level squish will be in place. All those other changes will be present. And then usually about a couple of weeks before Shadowlands comes out, we have a pre-patch event. This time around, it's sort of loosely inspired by the Scourge invasion from Wrath the Lich King, as we've seen the Helm of Domination shattered, and that means that the undead across Azeroth are now rampaging across our lands. And alongside that, we're going to start telling the story of how the heroes of Azeroth are gathering their forces in Northrend, in Icecrown, and preparing for a frontal all-out assault on the forces of the Jailer at the top of Icecrown. That's going to lead us into Shadowlands when the expansion formally begins.
Yeah, you're fighting your way back into ICC.
Okay. I think I received the message about the fact that we are done for today. I have so many more questions, but I guess this is it for today. So like how someone would say, dude, there it is. There it is. Thank you, Jon, for your time. It was a great pleasure to have you here tonight. I hope the questions were good enough for you.
It is.
And, you know, not too picky. And I wish you
not at all. Great
great day.
It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you again. Thank you again for having us tonight. And have a great day. Bye-bye, Jon.
Thank you. You too. Have a good night.
Thank you.
That was a really good interview.
Okay.
Hello.
Here we go.
Hi.
Coming up in Shadowlands, we've heard bits and pieces about this expanded weekly cache that provides options for you to choose from based on what you've done for the week. What types of content are going to feed into that?
Yeah, well, I mean, certainly we want to make sure right off the bat, you know, gear, but we also want to make sure that our PvP players feel like, hey, they can be doing things that they like doing in PvP and still have access to a weekly chest and gear that's going to be beneficial to them.
Okay.
But beyond that, we'd like to include the plethora of goodies that we have in WoW, so that there will likely be toys and there may be, you know, appearance changes. There might be, you know, pets or mounts in there. Again, I don't think we finalized all of that, you know, but we do want to have a variety of things that you can get, and that's likely to evolve through the course of the expansion as well.
Okay. So I've heard that with that system, though, the idea is that the more you do, the more choices you have, but that you will, at the end of the week, pick one piece of loot.
You get one item, right?
Are the mounts and pets and PvP stuff included in that? Are you going to be choosing between those different things, or are those extras kind of on top of the weekly allotment of loot?
Here we go. That's a good question.
Yeah, I think that's TBD.
Okay, cool.
Okay, yeah. He doesn't know.
Just a little more about PvP. I think a lot of people are really excited to see PvP vendors coming back to simplify gearing.
Yeah.
However, we're also seeing several new power progression systems such as soulbinds and legendary crafting. So my question is, how much non-PvP content should your average PvPer expect to do in order to be ready for the arena?
I mean, everyone is
That's a good question.
Be
you
know, creating a soulbind. They're going to find they're going to create a soulbound character. There will be some questing involved with establishing that relationship with your soulbind.
She knows.
Ideally, you know, some of the activities are going to be, you know, PvP oriented. Now, in terms of crafting legendary, you will be running Torghast to do that. And while that's not a directly PvP activity, there is a certain degree of intensity and excitement in playing that, and the content itself is designed to be very repeatable because there's a high degree of randomness and power-ups that happen. So those are probably the two biggest activities that would be, quote unquote, you know, not directly PvP.
Okay. All right, sounds good. To pivot a little bit to economy, BFA, we saw our biggest gold sink yet with that 5 million gold Brutosaur mount. Do we have any news on what's on the horizon for gold sinks in Shadowlands, or at least the philosophy towards them?
Is there gold cap, gold sink?
I mean, we want to make sure that we have some gold sinks. You know, some of our players are pretty adept at accumulating mass wealth, so we want them to be able to, you know, show that off.
Yeah, of course.
Brutosaur may be a little bit over the top in terms of the cost of that, so I wouldn't be surprised if the things that we offer in the future are going to be priced a little bit lower than that.
Sure,
that makes sense.
And there's also specific utility with that I think some of our players, you know, I wish I had that. I wish I could.
Yeah, because you have the auction house.
Okay.
We're rethinking how far we took that.
For sure. Kind of related to the amount of gold we're going to be making going forward, recently we've seen some auction house changes to throttle that kind of large-scale cancel and resetting behavior on the current auction house.
Yeah.
With this new stance that we're taking on add-on driven automation, are there any other categories that can expect a similar kind of limiting?
I mean, not specifically in add-ons, and there are things that we have done And this is more related to WoW Classic, but has implications, you know, or could have implications in
Classic WoW
Shadowlands as well. That we've noticed an uptick in bot activity.
Yeah, these are good questions.
In Classic, we didn't have, you know, gold is harder to obtain and it takes longer. And
is it Classic, Andy? Yeah, exactly.
Really as many gold sinks in the game, and there's also, you know, not the same way in which we get resources. So when, you know, there's a fleet of bots running around and they're harvesting resources, it really is taking away from the players in the game. And so what we've done is we've identified areas that are particularly lucrative if you're running 24/7, and we've limited the number of times you can run them. So, you know, there's an instance cap in WoW Classic right now. And specifically that is to curb, you know, the automation that's
what does that have to do with this stuff?
You know, we've seen pretty good success with that. It definitely has slowed down the, you know, the gold farmers.
Okay. Speaking of gold and professions, in Shadowlands, we've noticed that there's a lot of really cool new things with crafting in these optional regions, and also the star ranks of your professions have been de-emphasized.
Yeah, it's not.
Is there an overarching like goal or philosophy behind these profession changes? Where are you trying to get to with professions in Shadowlands?
Okay.
Well, we want to make all the professions meaningful, you know, so you don't feel like, you know, this profession is the wrong one for me because it doesn't give me either the gear that I wanted, or, you know, nobody wants to buy the stuff I have. So we want to, you know, they need to stay consistent with their flavor, but we want to have all of them be useful in some way, shape, or form.
That's better than now.
The player,
certainly
but
better
also
than now.
in the economy.
Right. Yeah. We're getting some really cool stuff in terms of what kind of armor that we can craft. I think that all of those optional regions are allowing you to really specialize crafted gear in Shadowlands. And the concern I have with that is usually crafted gear is something that's kind of cool in the first patch, and then maybe we update it a little bit here and there, but it doesn't really have a place in the game going forward. Is there any plans to make armor crafted gear, like the beginning stuff that you're making as you're leveling up, continue to be relevant throughout Shadowlands?
You know, like what we did with
legendaries,
BFA
right?
is we would level up the crafted gear with each update that we did. So for many of, you know, most of the players, the crafted item that you could create was equivalent, if not better, than the things you might obtain otherwise.
Yeah.
And we always want to have crafted items to be meaningful. It probably won't be the case that a crafted item would be better than the best thing you could get in mythic rating, you know, for instance.
Well,
or,
no,
you know,
of course
from
not.
A very high level.
Yeah, of course not, dude.
Keystone dungeon.
I would expect
we do
that.
want the people that go through the trouble of conquering a mythic raid to still be able to brag that, yeah, I have some of the best gear in the game.
Good.
Now, it's okay if AP
yeah.
is up there and somewhat equivalent
exactly.
to that. And we do want to make sure that crafted items, again, for the majority of players, will represent some of the better pieces of gear you could get.
So would you say that you're aiming to balance that item level somewhere around like World Quest rewards, kind of pre-LFR stuff?
Oh, God.
Is that the idea?
I hope not.
I don't know where the
oh, God, no.
is going to set the bar. But we do want it to be meaningful. We don't want you to feel like, you know, gosh, by the time I got my crafting level up to maximum, the gear I'm getting through regular play is better than what I can craft, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Because there's a lot of effort that goes into that as well.
There's also a really interesting set of items called these relics, I think relics of the past, that allow you to scale a crafted item down to match a previous expansion. Where does that fit into the Shadowlands leveling experience, especially alongside heirlooms, which we now know will still scale, but no experience bonuses on those, I heard?
What the fuck?
What's the idea there?
I'm sorry, that one I'm not going to be able to answer for you just through lack of deep familiarity. So,
no worries. All good.
It's like, what the fuck is that?
For our rewards team.
Cool. I have one about the character limit, actually. We currently have a character limit of 50 characters per account, and we've been able to put those all in one server if we want now. What's the goal and philosophy behind that limit, and can we expect to see any increases?
No, they're not going to increase that. There's no way.
I mean, that size actually has been fairly consistent. It's just that we had a cap on individual realms.
Yeah.
And honestly, the limit is just the size of the database we have to carry. You know, we look at how many accounts have, you know, more than a handful of characters, how many actually have maximum number of characters. and you know, there's a backside overhead that we carry in order just to have those characters, and so that's one part of it.
It costs too much money, John. We get it.
The other part of it is
I get
we
it.
don't want people going out and just kind of name reserving on a bunch of realms.
That's a good point.
And we have seen that behavior where, you know, they'll run out anytime we increase the character cap. We saw a lot of folks run out and just reserve a bunch of names on the realm they're on, and then be sitting there, you know, camping a bunch of, you know, low-level characters.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird
because, you know, there are millions of people playing WoW now, and there's some really cool names that people want to have, and yet they can't because, you know, there's a low-level toon camping it.
Yeah, it's kind of stupid.
With up to 50 characters per account, I think that list has gotten fairly sizable for some people, and I think you could now say the same thing about the slightly unrelated, the hunter pet stable size. We're going to have 200 pets in the stable. Are there any plans for better organization, or sorting or filtering or anything like that for those increasingly large lists that we're managing?
God damn.
Well, you know, my main that I've played since you know, 2014 is a hunter, and so I was super excited to see that we were going to get a bigger stable. I don't know that, at least when we release 9.0, you're going to see a significantly better UI for managing that.
Yeah.
But it, you know, it is something that we're mindful of, and I'm hopeful, as you are, I guess, that it'll make it a little bit easier. You know, we have added search capabilities, which I think, you know, I'm also an achievement farmer, so I like being able to type in what I have a big notion the name of the achievement was, and being able to go right to it and see if I've actually got it or not. So yeah, hopefully something like that for pets.
Cool, cool.
Wonder how many
speaking of just achievement and collectible hunting, as we're looking forward to Shadowlands, many people are considering how we're going to continue farming BFA content for collectibles. Specifically, is there any chance of allowing players to enter island expeditions solo?
We have no plans for that.
Get your mouse now.
I think that's an interesting suggestion, but you know, currently it's still, you know, islands were designed as a group activity, and you know,
he has no idea.
People to do that.
I don't think he expected that.
You know, it's, at this point, if you're a very proficient player, it's going to be a little bit easier for you.
I would expect that.
And the cool thing is, you know, with Party Sync, you'll find people at lower level that you'll be able to group up with and play with. You know, all the people that will be new to the game that have gone into our new player experience will emerge from that experience, Exile's Reach, as a level 10 player going into BFA for the first time. And you know, we anticipate a pretty big group of people. So I don't think people are going to have a problem finding a group to do islands. You know, if that becomes a problem down the road, you know, and you're not able to find people do it, then, you know, we'll certainly revisit that.
Sure. Yeah, I had to try. Slightly related, a few people want to know, is there any time pressure on finishing goals and achievements in Horrific Visions? They've been compared to Mage Towers a lot, and we're wondering if there's any cutoff there people should be worrying about.
Strength, right?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay, thanks. A couple of pet battle questions. There has been some really intriguing stuff on Alpha that I'm wondering if you know anything about pet battle PvP power. Is there anything more we can hear there?
What the fuck?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, good. Similarly, we've seen an end to the Pet Battle Dungeon storyline now with that 8.3 Stratholme Pet Dungeon.
Okay.
What kind of direction is the Pet Battle endgame headed in Shadowlands? Are we seeing more dungeons, or are we pivoting to something else?
I wonder if John knows.
You know, I think the dungeons are a lot of fun. You know, I'm also a pet collector. There's a group of players that really are into it. But it hasn't had as much broad appeal as some of the other features of the game, and so I think we're kind of taking a pass just to see, you know, what's the reception like. You know, if we get a lot of demand, you know, for more pet battle dungeons, that's something we'll look at later in the expansion.
Sure.
Nothing new, you know, for the release of Shadowlands.
Okay. Flying is something that I think a few of us are worrying about the pacing of in Shadowlands.
Yeah, flying. Okay,
is it correct that we're going to be getting another Pathfinder achievement for the new expansion? And if so, how are we feeling about the pacing of when the second part comes out? Are we
when's this
intending another year on the ground?
Okay, so
okay.
Answer to your first question, yes.
Yeah.
there will be a Pathfinder. Now, you won't be able to fly when Shadowlands is released. We think it's super important that you experience the world as intended, that you meet everything on it, and that you go through the quests and really take it all in from the ground. But then we realized that as you get further along in the expansion, you've revisited zones, that you like the convenience of being able to fly to areas.
Yes.
And so we did hear feedback from players about how pathfinding worked in BFA, and kind of the complaints about
too many times
grind they felt they had to do
too many paths
to achieve it. So what we're going to do with unlocking flying in Shadowlands is that this will be based off of renown. So as you develop your reputation with your covenant, that will effectively not your reputation, I'm sorry, your renown with your covenant, that will effectively unlock flying. So through the natural course of selecting a covenant, developing your sanctum, which all players will be doing, that effectively will do the unlock.
Nice. Is that step of it expected to be available in the first patch, or is that a later down the road thing?
I don't know about that, John.
That's a TBD.
I don't know about that, John.
We're going to have, through the course of Shadowlands, we're going to have some small patches, and then we're going to have some much bigger ones, kind of in the way that we did with BFA. So that may be one of the ones that goes into one of the larger patches. So the first patch will undoubtedly be something where we're going to take care of any issues that we saw in the release of Shadowlands. Were there tuning things that we needed to do?
Okay.
Were there things that despite our best efforts, just didn't get the reception we'd hoped? So we always kind of reserve that first patch to get everything dialed in. So I would expect it will not be in the very first patch that we have.
Okay. We have a lot of interest here in potential future new allied races. I think that's a feature that has a lot of people really excited.
Oh yeah, I'm excited about
I think
this
that
too.
it's interesting that the difference between an allied race and just a standard new race has become kind of slowly blurred over time. Yeah. What I really want to know here is, what does the team look for when considering a new allied race, in terms of which ones you're looking to add, when you're looking to add them, and if there's like a point where you say, well, that's enough, there's too many choices now, we're done.
Yeah, I mean, allied races, it fit the fiction for BFA, right? It's Horde versus Alliance.
It makes sense.
We're trying to get these different races to come on board and become part of our faction, so that was integrated into the storyline. Not sure how well that fits in the fiction of Shadowlands. I mean, you are pledging a covenant, and regardless of your faction, you're joining that covenant. So I think that remains to be seen how that'll play out.
Okay.
Sure. And
it remains to be
almost
seen.
To the end of my list here. I've got a couple of rapid fire specific ones where no shame if you don't have the answer handy. I noticed on character creation lately, the hunter pets for various races are actually new creature types, but there's no in-game changes just yet. Is that just kind of for inspiration, like class poses, or are those pets actually being upgraded?
Are you talking about give me an example?
Like the racial hunter pets. So right now on live servers, a new Pandaren hunter gets a turtle, but on the character creation screen for Shadowlands, they actually have a yak.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would consider right now what we have in alpha, and even in the early stages of beta, is going to be. Don't consider that to be final.
Sure. TBD.
Sadly enough, hunter pets are something that we don't actually turn on everything until kind of midpoint in beta, because we want to make sure that in general the control and the behavior is good, and pets aren't running off and doing something you don't want them to do. But then we don't get into the kind of the flavor until a little bit later.
Of course. Okay. Cool. And then with the level squish, do you have any word on whether heritage armor level requirements are going to be squished down along with them?
60,
can we expect, like on a new allied race, are we going to be unlocking that set at 50? Is it later on at 60?
I mean, certainly the
he doesn't know
the number by which, or the level by which the heritage armor becomes active and stays active is going to get squished. So what specifically you're asking is when you can access it, or when you? Or
Yeah,
how far it will take?
when in a character's journey do you have that unlocked? I would imagine level 50, but just wanted to double check.
I believe that's the case.
Okay. Similarly, in terms of leveling a new character, I'll see if I still have this one handy.
Okay.
No, I think that might have actually been it. I think that might have actually been all I had, and we're just about out of time here. I would like to thank you so much for joining me on the stream.
Oh, thanks for inviting me, and thanks for supporting WoW and Shadowlands.
Oh, thanks so much, John. I hope you have a great day.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye now.
Okay. Huge shout out, hearts in the chat for Hazel. Thanks a lot for letting me restream
That
it.
last one was awkward. I had a thought and I couldn't grab the rest of it, and it was never going to happen, so I just bailed.
Yeah, it's okay.
There we go. We did it. It's over.
Hearts in the chat for
guys.
Hazel. It's very appreciated.
I'm good.
It's a very, very good interview.
I hope that we.
I love John. Yeah, get it. Yeah, follow her stream. Yeah, let her know, man.